We're here today to announce an arrest in the fatal fire last week at 1290 Portland Avenue that tragically killed 5-year-old Malachi Stovall. Before we give details of the arrest, I'd like to thank our partners that are here with us tonight to announce this incredible news. We've got Mayor Evans, who's behind me, from the Rochester Fire Department. We have Deputy Chief Kuzowitz from the ATF. We have Acting Resident in Charge, Sean Krumholtz, from the U.S. Marshal Service. We have U.S. Marshal for the Western District, Charles Salina. We also have Assistant District Attorney Kevin Sunderland. And then to start and give details of tonight's arrest, I've got Captain Frank Ombrino from our Major Crimes Unit.
On July 29th, at about 2 o'clock in the morning, the porch of 1290 Portland Avenue was intentionally set on fire. The entire structure was ultimately destroyed. 5-year-old Malachi Stovall was trapped inside until firefighters were able to rescue him from the second floor. He was transported to the University of Rochester Medical Center in critical condition, and tragically, he died a few days later. 2 Rochester firefighters were also injured battling the fire. Since the night of the arson fire, investigators from the RPD's Major Crimes Homicide Unit, Rochester Fire Department, ATF, have been working to determine who started the fire and why. Their investigation determined the suspects used a flammable substance to ignite the front porch of the Portland Avenue home. The house almost immediately became engulfed in flames, trapping and ultimately killing Malachi and injuring the 2 firefighters. 21-year-old Tequila Hendricks and 31-year-old Tequita Hendricks, who are sisters, were identified as individuals who intentionally started the fire at 1290 Portland Avenue. Earlier today, members of the United States Marshal's Violent Felony Fugitive Task Force took Tequila into custody without incident. Hours later, they found Tequita and also took her into custody without incident. The Hendricks sisters have both been charged with murder second degree as well as arson in the first degree. They'll both be arraigned tomorrow morning at 9:30. Additional charges, including charges for the injuries to the firefighters, will all be presented to a Monroe County grand jury at a later date. I would personally like to thank all of the investigators from the Major Crimes Unit, the Rochester Fire Department, the Arson Task Force, ATF, also the DA's office for assisting us. These guys have been busting their butts, since the night of the fire, and it's as a result of their efforts, as well as information that we received from the community, that is allowing us to stand up here today to announce these arrests. And with that, I'll turn it over to the mayor.
Thank you, Captain Ombrino. Let me thank his team on Major Crimes, who has worked so hard. All of our federal partners, obviously, the U.S. Marshal, Fire Department, ATF, District Attorney's Office, everyone that worked collectively to solve this crime. Last week I had Malachi's father in the mayor's conference room, along with Malachi's grandmother and grandfather. And his father, Malachi, you look at the picture, he's a spitting image of his father. And we promised that we would do everything we could to bring the perpetrators to justice for this heinous crime. This was absolutely senseless for a little 5-year-old kid to lose his life because cowards and people with reckless regard for human life decided to set a porch on fire with no regard to the damage that they would cause to an entire family and to just an entire community. So I want to thank our partners in law enforcement for coming forward. I want to thank the community for providing tips as it relates to this crime. And I hope that this sends a message to those that think that they can wreak havoc in our city, that we will hunt you down and make sure that you will be held accountable. And that is what I believe today represents. But most importantly, I ask that you keep the family of Malachi in your prayers. This is a 5-year-old child. Any of us, I'm sure most of us up here, have children. So we know how we feel about our own children. And we have that same feeling for this young life that was lost unnecessarily. A heinous crime for no apparent reason. I pray that the justice system will bring judgment on the individuals responsible for this crime, and that they have many, many, many years to sit and reflect on the life of a 5-year-old that they took. They'll be able to live to a ripe old age, away from society, but they'll have that right that a 5-year-old didn't get the chance to have. And I hope that they think about that. I hope that they think about that and that they reflect on the damage that they caused to this family. So again, I want to thank all of our partners up here. I always say it's we, not me. We couldn't do this alone. And the hard work of the men and women of all the agencies represented here are important. And then we also are holding up in prayer our firefighters who run into fires every day and got injured in this case. That's the other important thing that Captain Ubrino mentioned. So we are thankful that justice will be served in this case, and we're very, very excited to be able to announce arrest in this case. So I thank everyone involved, and we continue to keep Malachi's family in prayer. Thank you.
Take a few questions.
Do you have any thoughts on why the motive for this? I mean, this is, quite an awful crime here.
What I can say is that Malachi and his family had absolutely nothing to do with the tragedy that occurred. They had no connection to anything that may have precipitated the setting of the house on fire. Beyond that, I'm not going to get into the exact motive at this time. There's still investigation to be done. And quite frankly, who cares what the motive? We care what the motive was, but in the big scheme of things, who cares? This is just a senseless tragedy that took the life of an innocent 5-year-old kid. But Malachi's family was not involved in any type of incident that precipitated this. But beyond that, I can't get into it yet.
Well, I know this was a duplex.
Mm-hmm.
Was it potentially?
Yeah, beyond saying that Malachi's family wasn't involved, we're not prepared to talk about any other motive at this point. Again, like I always say, even though the arrest has been made, there's still a lot of investigative work that needs to be done, and the job of the investigators that are here is certainly not done. And I'm just not going to get into anything that might jeopardize any further investigation that we need to do in this case.
You mentioned the community help in this investigation. How imperative was that information that was given by the community? And was that reward that you guys put out there claiming that?
The information that we received from the public was certainly critical in us being able to stand up here today. As far as the reward money, discussions are going to be had on that. I don't want to give a definitive answer yet. But, like we often say, it's not, there's a lot of pieces in the puzzle. And without the community's help, I wouldn't be standing up here. Without the work of the investigators, we wouldn't be standing out here. And without the marshals dropping everything that they were doing to find these 2 suspects and bring them in, I wouldn't be standing up here. So certainly a critical piece. There's other critical pieces. And, there'll be more to come on whether the reward is going to be paid out or not.
Captain Ubrino, I know you mentioned that, you really can't get into specifics. Are you able to say if this was the intended home that they were looking to set on fire?
This was intentional. This was the intended home that they were going to set on fire. Beyond that, I'm sorry. At some point, it will come out, just not right now, not yet.
Are they known to police? Are they known to you?
I'm not going to get into their criminal backgrounds. They do not have lengthy records to say, but at this point, we'll leave it at that with them.
Were both of them picked up in Monroe County, Rochester?
Yes, and I'm going to mess up the names. One was picked up out in Fairport, and the other one was picked up here in the city of Rochester.
Are they from Rochester?
Yes, yes.
And the mayor was talking about this. This has to be, even that much more challenging with it having to be a little boy.
Yes, listen, in every case is personal to the investigators that do the investigation. But, of course, when you have an innocent child that has their life tragically taken, it plays a toll not only on the investigators, on the technicians that have to take photographs. It's somebody has to do the job, and, thankfully we have the professionals that we have working in both the fire department and the police department and our partners with ATF that, they can figure out a way to put their emotions aside and do the job that needs to get done. It is tough, but the men and women that we have, they do an awesome job at it.
Are they surprised to see you all?
Yeah, They were certainly surprised. I think deep down they knew that it was coming eventually. You know, but it was gratifying for the investigators and for the marshals that helped us to get them into handcuffs.
Apologies if you
Good.
already said, but just the condition of the firefighters.
So they're both still out of work. One is recovering from burns to his face, and the other one has a fractured back.
Ribbon back injuries.
Yeah, ribbon back injuries. So they're recovering, but they're still going to be out of work for quite some time.
Can I ask about
Thank you.
the ability-
Thank you, thank you, thank you.